Welcome back to our third Lewy Physical Therapy podcast, and we're so happy to have Miss Margaret Graves, but we're going to call her Meg today. And Meg came to physical therapy a few weeks ago, I believe, for right heel foot pain. And I have Tracy here with us again.
Hi, everybody.
So, Meg, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what brought you to physical therapy.
Sure. Good morning.
Good morning.
I am originally from Oklahoma and have been in Louisiana and Baton Rouge for my husband's work. So
Very good.
I discovered that I had some issues going on with my foot several weeks ago. It's been months ago, and I thought, I just am having a bad day with a bad pair of shoes. Needed to get some different, shoes. And over time, my pain increased throughout the day. The more I was on my foot, and started affecting the way that I was walking. So my husband had said, "Why are you limping?" And I said, "My foot hurts." And I was having a very, very sharp pain into my heel, and have always had very, very tight Achilles. So I've always had to stretch as well as shin splints when I was a track runner. So I had an excellent experience in Oklahoma City with manual therapy, and I'd gone in once. They did their manual therapy, and I was on my way because I was out of town, but knew that there were people, more and more physical therapists, who were using manual therapy as one of their practices in the clinics.
Before you came, did they do an x-ray of your foot and find out anything what's going on, like a bone spur or anything particular that might be an issue? Or
I didn't really feel it was necessary to see a doctor yet, just because the pain was so intermittent, and I was trying to pay attention to when I had the pain and when I didn't, and thought that maybe it was still a pair of shoes, hoping it was just as small as a pair of shoes that I needed to change, wear my tennis shoes or a support more. And so I didn't choose to go to a doctor at that point.
And sometimes you're right, because sometimes people buy a new pair of shoes, and that can cause, just a change in shoe wear can cause people start having foot pain, the way your foot moves with the arch of your foot. So I don't know if you had a new pair of shoes prior to that or anything was going on, but that could definitely be an issue.
I did not. It was interesting because one of the things, in addition to telling me about staying off my foot and not doing the intense exercises that were impact or high impact even, is he said no more sandals for a bit. No more flip-flops. He said you've got to have a good, stable heel and have a really nice arch in the shoe. So I stopped putting on my flip-flops in the house, stopped wearing my sandals, and bought some tennis shoes with an actual insert in them. And I noticed that helped. It helped alleviate some of the pain for sure.
It was just your right foot or more? So the left foot was okay? Interesting. And are you a runner too, or you just?
I am. I'm very, very active. So I am a PE teacher, and I teach sports-specific training. So it's important that I'm on my feet. I can run, I can jump, I can demonstrate to kids and to my students, my athletes. But I don't anticipate not being active at any point in my life. So it was really, really important that I took care of my feet.
Right, it's very much so. Once your feet start hurting, next thing you know, you might have some knee pain, because it all works from down to going up, which is great. Now, tell us a little about your sport-specific training. That sounds interesting.
Well, I have always been an athlete myself for as long as I can remember. I have danced, I've cheerleaded, I've volleyballed, I've basketballed, and was an athlete myself, and grew up in athletes and studied recreation management in college for my bachelor's degree. So I decided that after getting certified to teach physical education, I wanted to train some of the athletes that had a little bit more direction, and maybe sometimes a little bit more talent, depending on the child. Sometimes that's the case, sometimes it's not. But even sometimes the parents will have a vision for their children because they recognize that they're extremely talented. So I teach skill building for kids who want to do better in athletes, or maybe they are in a recreational team where they don't get the kind of sport-specific training they may in school.
What age do you normally start, or is it a particular age?
It depends on the age. It depends on the parents, how comfortable they are with what we do, because being an athlete changes for a children, and I'm sure you understand, for a child, I'm sure you understand this, because their skill level changes, their body is growing, and they have to adjust, and they have to do things differently based on what they know to do and what they're being called to do for being a soccer player or a wrestler or whatever the case may be. So I try to do skill building first and foremost so they understand the foundation of what they're called to do as an athlete. And then it goes into learning how to be a good athlete, and then how to be a competitor without being a poor loser, because that's part of being an athlete, is being able to win well and to lose well too.
That's great. Great.
Yeah. Well, and I think it just ties into how important it was for you to start feeling better, because it sounds like it affected every area of your life, your work and your personal life.
Absolutely, yes. And it's, for people who are highly active, and in this day and age, you've got people who have one job or two jobs, or even they're a student, and they have to function throughout the day. They have to be able to go to the grocery store and go to the dry cleaners and do their normal activities. And if they're in pain, they don't want to do it and they can't.
Right. And it's very frustrating.
Yeah, and physical therapy, and maybe a little tangent, you're right. When you have some kind of pain, or it limits you doing whatever you want to do, could be a 20-year-old person or 80-year-old person, it affects you emotionally, as well as physically. So physical therapy almost affects emotional as well as physical, because it allows you to do what you want to do. It makes you happy, and the body and the brain is feeling good, and the body feels good.
Yes, absolutely.
It all works together. So PT does play a vital part in helping, just all about getting back to normal activities. Sometimes it might be, I'm just going off here a little bit, but sometimes PT goal and the patient's goal could be totally different.
Oh, absolutely.
I might want you to get your ankle movements, but you might not care about that. You just want to go walk around the park or whatever. So the PT and the patient needs to be on point with their goals. So it's really important, if you're out there, if you're a patient, let the therapist know what your goals are, because everybody has a different goal. It might just be simply going to the grocery store. It could be, everybody's different.
Exactly.
Same with children. Kids have different goals of what they want to do, and children really don't. But for sport specific, I think that's great, because now this is cheerleading. My two girls were cheering has gotten really big.
Oh yes, absolutely, and
And
extremely competitive. A lot of people don't realize.
It's big and down here in Baton Rouge as well. So yeah, training that early on, because they in gymnastics. I mean, all these, they get a lot of injuries in these kind of sports. So learning early on with you that's just wonderful. It really is.
Thank you.
I wish my boy played baseball, and I can see the benefits starting early. Find somebody like you.
I think it's the one thing that you realize as an athlete, and you don't even necessarily have to be a professional athlete, but I think they sometimes are fine-tuned to understand that sometimes the littlest tweak can make a huge difference. For a marathon runner, if you're not in the right shoes, it's gonna be a bad deal. But as an athlete, when you get into doing athletics and you're very, very competitive, even at the Olympic level, there can be something that you fine-tune on the way that you hold the javelin, or the way that you squat, the way that you do certain things. And the nice thing about physical therapy is that you've got oversight from people who know. They know the kinesiology. They know what you're supposed to be doing, both on the field and off the field. And so they can help you with that training whenever you're out of your season or in your season, so that you don't get injured. Because we all know that you do something incorrect, you are going to create injury.
Right.
So you got the new shoes to try to fix the problem, and then you discovered that didn't fix the problem, or it helped a little bit?
It did. It helped because I felt more comfortable throughout the day. I think one of the main problems, and something that my therapist was pointing out, is I got to take breaks. And I may want to walk a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles in the morning, but I'm not ready to do it. But I also have to have the right shoes. And so it helped that I felt better in my shoes. I was more comfortable. But I think even more so, partnering that with the physical therapy was really important, because I still needed to do my exercises. Every other day I still needed to do icing and put the ice on my foot, either in the morning and the evening, sometimes both, depending on how I felt. But because we were trying lots of different things in the physical therapy, all of it worked together.
And you did mention they showed you stretching for your house.
Absolutely, yes. So
which is important.
This was extremely helpful for me, especially understanding how the stretching, even on an everyday basis, helps. That he got me a band and sent me a list of the exercises so that I could see the video of exactly what I was supposed to do, because it was similar to what I was doing in the clinic, but didn't take as much time, and I was doing less of them. And so every day I would go home, and my physical therapist believes, and I do too, that continually helped me to feel better.
It's an ongoing thing too, because the more you're active, and the more you just got to maintain the stretching and exercises, because it's just as you get older, the body changes, and you got to make sure you're not stiff. Stiff is tough. It's like a car. You can keep it updated.
Exactly.
Back to real quick about your teaching, which I love this, sport specifics. I think in kids, once they become like 7th, 8th grade, the key to that is that they have the passion to continue on with that sport. So I think that you get more, it becomes more business-like, coaches more into a kid, like you got to do this. So I think teaching kids early on about what's important about sports and how they can love it early on. The 8th to 9th grade level is really where their early on teaching, I think, bridges that gap. Because if you can teach, that can be great, but if you don't have the passion for something, I don't know how you really gain passion, but I do think you gain passion with sport-specific training and letting kids have fun initially with the sport, and then learning, like you said, hey, it's okay to lose, it's okay to win, and being great at it both ways.
Well, I think that there's so many things you learn about life through sports and team building and understanding how to be a good athlete and how to use your gifts. Because not everyone is gifted as an athlete. But as you are learning the foundations, the most important thing that a key issue is for any athlete is to have fun. Right. Go out there and enjoy the kids, enjoy the sport, enjoy the activity, enjoy being outside. And
you don't want to be a chore.
You don't.
Hey, you got to go to practice. Hey, you get all frustrated. That's somewhere along the line. I think learning early on, like you're doing, is wonderful.
One of my most fun things to do as a child was recess. Just give me recess.
Exactly.
Favorite class for most kids.
Absolutely.
And they still have recess now.
Sometimes they do, and sometimes they changed everything with COVID, so it sort of depends. But the thing too is a lot of times the time that they get in a PE class is really important because they are learning how to throw a ball or how to jump off a box or how to jump
get out
over
of class and is move around. Because like you said, COVID was crazy for these kids because they're sitting in class all day long and not able to move. I know one kid's school, they couldn't leave class. They had to stay in one class.
Yep.
That's tough.
Yeah, ate lunch in the same classroom. Didn't even go to the cafeteria. It was tough.
Well, in teaching in that environment, it was really a struggle for them because they're still trying to keep that 6 feet distance for the kids. They didn't send them to the gym. They didn't send them outside. And they had screens. A lot of them had screens at their desks, so it was tough.
Yep. I think for any kid, especially like high school or this de-stress through exercise is huge. Anybody that has this daily activities, driving in Baton Rouge traffic, getting outside and walking, exercise, getting that stress out is big. And you want to do that, and then back to physical therapy, make the whole circle. If you're not able to do that, well, that's a problem. So with you, with your ankle and foot, it was an issue for you, and I'm so glad Lewy Physical Therapy helped you out then. It got you back on track.
I was very pleased to find Lewy.
You didn't do the pool therapy.
I did not. I have been an aquatics aerobics teacher before, so I understand the value of it for sure because you just can't get that on land. So I'm thrilled to see that you had the pool because especially with people who have back issues, it's excellent because it's better not to have that impact. You can do that with swimming and in the pool.
You're exactly right. You're preaching to the choir. That's great. You're exactly right. Well, tell one more thing, because I heard you're a writer. So tell us about this, because I like to read. So how long have you been writing? And
I've been writing as long as I could. I started off with sappy love poems in high school, but I continued writing and have a joy of writing. My father is a writer. My mother is an English teacher, and she's a published author. So I've been writing and write about all sorts of things. Have traveled quite a bit and have seen lots of the world and write funny, quirky stories, and then some stories for kids about sports, what they learn on the field and on the court, and how much fun it is to make discoveries that, I'm a really fast runner, or I like to walk, that kind of thing. So I do lots of writing. I write for companies now. I do professional writing. So I do business plans and resumes for people who are in the job market. And it's funny, this past weekend, I kept hearing over and over and over, we can't find good help. We don't find people that, are ready to work. So I think it's a different time and different age because of COVID. So everybody's adjusting professionally. And yes, I do lots and lots of resumes.
So can people find your writing somewhere like online?
I have a website. It's www.scribeinc.net, and they can find me online.
That's good. Wonderful.
Yes.
Tracy, do you write?
No. I would like to. It would be great, but definitely not right now.
You have to have the time.
You have to have the time, and so maybe one day when the kids are out of the house, but right now I mostly drive little people around.
And that's important too. That's really important.
You can write about all your pets in your house.
I could. Yeah, my son just got a snake, so.
That's scary.
You got pigeons? It's like a zoo at their house right now.
Yeah, we have the little zoo going.
That could be a good little book.
There you go.
Definitely.
And writing's good for the soul.
Yeah.
Just getting stuff down on paper is great.
It is, and a lot of people don't write anymore, or kids haven't learned to write on a piece of paper, use a pen, a pencil, because they see a screen and they're in class and they work on an iPad. And so a lot of people, especially people who are older generation than I am, or even you are, you make lists.
Yeah.
You do check, but and you still have a written calendar. You don't use a phone necessarily, but for a lot of people, it's really important, especially people who struggle as they get older with dementia or Alzheimer's. It's real important that they are able to write things down.
Very much so. Well, look, thank you again for being here. So glad you got better at Lewy Physical Therapy with your foot. Glad you're back to where you were.
Yes.
And we really appreciate your time, man, coming here.